It's no secret that AAA studios love money. While you could make the argument that they still make good games here and there, most of the games we see nowadays are made with the sole purpose of making lots of money over a long period of time. The so-called live service games. And while I'm usually not a fan of these types of games, I can understand where they're coming from and why they make them. That said, it's more than known that trying to make every single game a live service game just doesn't quite work. There are only so many people, and only a percentage of those people enjoy live service games. Add to that there are only 24 hours in a day, thankfully, or our work hours would increase and we'd all be upset, but this means that in reality, if every game were to be a live service game, most games would fail, because not every game can constantly be played. You can only really play one game at a time, and if that game never actually ends, not having a clear point where the game feels properly finished, that could mean that some other games just don't make any of that infinite money that they were aiming for. This makes sense to me, but that means, realistically, that it's not smart for every AAA studio to make live service games, even though it's clear that that's where the money is. Look at games like Fortnite, Valorant, Overwatch, Apex Legends. All of these games are free games, but you wouldn't believe how much money they make. But, like I said, if people continue to return to these games, there's a good chance that they won't return to the other live service games. Games like Suicide Squad Kill the Justice League, for example, which leads to those games underselling and inevitably failing. But I think there's a solution. A solution that's actually been known for way longer than live service games have existed. A solution that's quite obvious even. Games that have a definitive ending. Games that, while they may get updates and patches here and there, they are just finished at some point. Games like The Witcher 3 or Baldur's Gate 3 or most other single player games. The first two that I mentioned, Witcher 3 and Baldur's Gate 3, prove that a game doesn't need to be live service to make a crap ton of money. They just need to be games that people want. Good games that people will want to spend $20 to $70 on, and then spend tens or hundreds of hours playing it, and possibly even completing it. Sure, maybe new content gets added, or maybe a new DLC gets released, but the main game is finished. The player's experience can have a proper ending. But all of what I've said up to this point, is honestly just so I can ask a simple question. Why then, if live service games aren't guaranteed to succeed, and beatable experience could sell just as well, why then have some games not been made yet? Games that could, without a doubt, make loads and loads of money if done right. If you're a fan of Avatar: The Last Airbender, the best Avatar, obviously, you'll know that the video games have been lacking. Most are either mobile games or they look or play like they're mobile games, and they're just not that good. Nothing wrong with mobile games necessarily, I'm sure there's an audience for that, but imagine the audience for a good PC or console game. Avatar is all about the elements, and while the story beats of the show are incredible, I think it's a missed opportunity of Nickelodeon that there's no proper Avatar fighting game. Imagine either a Naruto-like Avatar fighting game, or even better, a Tekken-like Avatar fighting game. I just know how huge a game like that could be. Because, let's be honest, most people that grew up with Avatar: The Last Airbender are now in their 20s, possibly early 30s. This is a group of people that has grown up with computers and consoles, and I just know that the idea of a childhood dream of being an actual earthbender actually coming to life would unlock something in my brain. Something that's undoubtedly prepared to spend $60 on a game that would allow me to live that dream. I want to fight the other elements in a Tekken-like game. So why can't we just yet? Why do we only get games like these ones? I briefly mentioned Fortnite before. I personally haven't played Fortnite in about 6 years or so, simply because I just don't really care about it. It's not really my kind of game. But there's one thing I can't deny. It's making the weirdest dreams come true. You can play as so many different kinds of characters from your favorite movies or games. Back when you could play as Thanos in 2018, I was blown away by how cool that was. People want to play as their favorite characters, especially when those characters can do exactly what they're known for. But Nickelodeon isn't the only one leaving lots and lots of money on the table when they don't need to. Disney too. Marvel, more specifically. quality. Obviously, they've been killing it these past few years with the games they've been releasing. Spider-Man 1 and 2 are fantastic games. The upcoming Wolverine game and the Captain America plus Black Panther game, they look awesome. But come on, man. A Marvel fighting game? That's an obvious cash cow. I know that Marvel vs. Capcom exists, but I'm talking more Injustice-like. Even something like Homelander in Mortal Kombat. Marvel characters that can fight to their full potential against one another? Why don't we have that yet? I know that Marvel Rivals exist, and it's a really cool game that I'm looking forward to playing again when it's fully released. But it's still not quite it for me. It's close, but not yet it. Making games takes time. Making good games takes more time. But in the many years that I've been dreaming about these games simply existing, they could have been made by now. And I'm certain they would have made a huge amount of money, way more than some of the bad live service games have since then. Anyway, I'll just keep on dreaming, and maybe I'll just buy a VR headset for that Earthbending game in the meantime. Subscribe, I'll see you all next time.